A fatal car crash in 1957 steals two little girls from a quiet English family. 1 year later, their mother delivers twin daughters who seem to remember a life they never lived. They call old toys by name, fear fast-moving cars with a terror beyond their years, and carry scars that match injuries they never received. Tonight, we revisit the baffling story of Gillian and Jennifer Pollock and ask whether reincarnation truly left its calling card in the Northumberland town of Hexham. Welcome to Redacted Chronicles. I'm Meredith, and in this episode we're diving deep into the Pollock twins case. You'll hear the original eyewitness testimony, the medical evidence, the parapsychology research, and the most convincing skeptical rebuttals. If mysteries that sit on the border between science and the supernatural fascinate you, hit subscribe and share your theory in the comments. Now let's step back to Hexham in the spring of 1957. On May 5th, 1957, 11-year-old Joanna Pollock and her 6-year-old sister Jacqueline set off for church with a family friend. A distraught driver, under the influence of strong medication, loses control, mounts the pavement, and kills the two sisters instantly. Their parents, John and Florence Pollock, are devastated. John, a devout Roman Catholic, prays repeatedly that somehow, in some form, his daughters will return to him. Later that year, Florence discovers she is pregnant. Doctors predict a single child, but on October 4th, 1958, she delivers fraternal twin girls, Gillian and Jennifer. The family notices uncanny details from the very first day, details that seem to tie each twin to one of her deceased sisters. Jennifer arrives with a crescent-shaped birthmark around her waist and a dark line across her forehead. Those marks correspond exactly to injuries Jacqueline carried in life. She once fell onto a bucket, leaving a scar in the same spot on her brow, and she had a small birthmark on her left hip. Gillian, meanwhile, is born without marks, just like Joanna. Dermatologists explain that birthmarks are usually random clusters of pigment cells, yet in many cultures, they are seen as physical evidence of a past life. The coincidence intrigues parapsychologist Dr. Ian Stevenson, who will later catalogue more than 200 similar cases. Between the ages of 2 and 4, the twins begin to ask for toys their parents have hidden in the attic since 1957. Gillian begs for a doll named Mary. Jennifer insists on the toy stroller, and together they ask for a stuffed rabbit. When John reluctantly retrieves the sealed boxes, each girl walks directly to the item that once belonged to her deceased sister, claiming it as if it had always been hers. During an otherwise routine drive through Hexham, they point out the primary school Joanna and Jacqueline once attended, even though the twins have never walked that route. Passing an unmarked park, Jennifer suddenly shouts, "That's where we used to play on the swings!" Gillian later describes in vivid detail a sandpit in Wickham, a town she has never visited. Family photo albums confirm that Joanna adored that very sandpit while staying with an aunt. Behaviourally, both girls display an intense and inexplicable fear of moving cars. Whenever a vehicle approaches at speed, Jennifer throws her arms around Gillian and cries, "The car is coming to get us!" It is as if some visceral memory of the fatal collision still lingers. In 1963, University of Virginia psychiatrist Dr. Ian Stevenson travels to Hexham after hearing rumours of the twins. Over several days, he interviews Gillian, Jennifer, and their parents. He cross-checks the girls' statements against school records, family diaries, and local maps, and he photographs Jennifer's birthmarks. 4 years later, he publishes the case in his seminal volume, 20 Cases Suggestive of Reincarnation. Stevenson highlights 4 striking points. First, the twins begin speaking about a past life at the age of 2, which fits the pattern he observes worldwide. Second, their statements contain family-specific details, names of toys, secret play spots, school locations, that he is able to verify independently. Third, each twin's temperament aligns with the personality of the sister she is said to replace. Gillian is nurturing and protective like Joanna, whereas Jennifer is clingy and restless like Jacqueline. And finally, the memories fade around the age of 7, precisely the age at which Stevenson notes past life recall usually disappears. He concludes that, in a Western context, the Pollock twins provide perhaps the strongest evidence yet recorded for reincarnation. Proponents focus on 3 pillars. First comes the physical evidence. Jennifer's birthmarks correspond exactly to Jacqueline's injuries, echoing dozens of cases in Stevenson's global database, where birthmarks allegedly trace lethal wounds from a previous life. Next are the twins' spontaneous and verifiable memories. They ask for hidden toys by name, identify locations they have never visited, and mirror their sisters' distinct personalities, creating a constellation of data that, supporters say, is too precise to dismiss as chance. Finally, the timing feels almost scripted. Florence conceives the twins roughly 3 months after the girls' deaths, neatly aligning with folk traditions that describe immediate rebirth into the same family. Florence herself strengthens the believer's case. She rejects the idea of reincarnation and refuses to discuss her deceased daughters around the twins, yet the memories emerge anyway. Advocates argue that her skepticism rules out parental suggestion and makes the phenomenon all the more compelling. Skeptics counter that ordinary psychology can explain the entire affair. They note that children absorb information through casual conversation. Even if parents remain silent, older siblings, cousins, or neighborhood friends might mention the deceased girls, planting memories the twins later repeat. John Pollock's yearning for a miracle could lead him to interpret innocent remarks as evidence, selectively remembering hits and forgetting misses. Regarding the birthmarks, dermatologists remind us that a significant percentage of babies are born with random marks or moles. Matching those marks to past scars after the fact is a textbook case of confirmation bias. Critics also question Stevenson's methodology. They point out that he entered the study hoping to validate reincarnation, relied heavily on anecdotal testimony, and did not apply statistical controls that would satisfy mainstream science. Finally, developmental psychologists caution that twins often create shared fantasy worlds and private languages. Projecting past life narratives onto such behavior risks misreading normal childhood creativity. Beyond skepticism lies a spectrum of purely natural possibilities. One is grief-driven suggestibility. Children, experts say, are exquisitely attuned to their parents' unspoken emotions. Even averted glances toward the attic or subtle changes in tone when passing the old school could cue the twins to connect dots their parents never intended. Another possibility is genetic or epigenetic inheritance. While no mechanism transmits explicit memories, temperament and certain physical traits are heritable. Stress hormones circulating in Florence's body after the tragedy might also have influenced fetal development, producing Jennifer's distinctive birthmarks without invoking past lives. Ultimately, humans are master pattern seekers. Given enough childhood comments and coincidences, the mind will weave a compelling story, especially when that story offers comfort in the face of heartbreaking loss. More than 6 decades later, the Pollock twins remain a touchstone in podcasts, YouTube explainers, and Reddit threads. Paranormal enthusiasts hail them as a smoking gun for reincarnation, while skeptics cite them as a cautionary tale about confirmation bias. In 2023, the Apple original podcast, Extrasensory, reopened Stevenson's files and interviewed Gillian and Jennifer, now in their 60s. The twins described their childhood memories as distant dreams, vivid once, but now indistinct, as though they belonged to someone else. No new empirical data has surfaced, yet the debate endures, perhaps because it touches a universal longing, the hope that death might not be the end and that love can, in rare moments, call souls home again. So, miracle of rebirth or masterpiece of coincidence? I leave that judgment to you. If this breakdown sparked new thoughts, smash like, tap subscribe for more mysteries dissected with equal parts wonder and skepticism. And tell us in the comments, what's your best explanation for the Pollock twins? I'm Meredith, and this has been Redacted Chronicles. Stay curious and stay critical.